4th of December 2021 te amikan Oting village Mon district Nagaland de civilians khan ge army khan ba morai dis ambush kuri na 6th of December te parliament de home minister Mr. Amit Sabra kuise du misidentity garne nega incident huise amikan Nagaland Gambura Federation takhan bra du condemnation du dise aji amikan note takhan la spokesperson ase GB Kahuto Chishi Sumi aibi takhan la viewpoint amikan jandibo join with us aru at the same time civil society organizations kan Nagaland ditia including apex students bodies can be takhan AFSPA Armed Forces Special Power Act 1958 la against the ayase itu ki hatai dibi goina Nagaland to Nagaland Gambura Federation kan du ki koi to borde janibo amikan. Yes sir, welcome to Dimapur today.
Good afternoon and thank you. Regarding the AFSPA Armed Forces Special Power Act, that too it's been in Nagaland. It was specifically passed for Nagaland in 1958. It's been here with us for a long time, and that it is a law which goes against every accepted norm of human rights is understood. Now regarding the unfortunate tragedy that took place, the Nagaland NGBF Federation has already issued a statement condemning the actions of the army and adding the voice to the repeal for the Armed Forces Special Power Act. Now, the reason why I'm here today is to try to let the people of Nagaland understand a few things. Now, a law can be repealed by three means. One is by the courts. A court can rule that a law is unconstitutional. The second part is through mass protests. When the people protest against certain laws, then the government repeals it. The third is when a law becomes, say, not invalid, but useless. No? Like there's no longer any need for the law. So now regarding the constitutional aspect, the Supreme Court has ruled that the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is not unconstitutional. So the constitutional remedy is gone. Now we are protesting now in the hopes that they will be repealed. But Srimati Irom Sharmila, she went on a hunger strike for 11 years on this issue. Now, the people of Nagaland, I'm wondering how many people of Nagaland were aware of what she was protesting against, how many organizations were aware, and how many of them lent their voices or their support for her. Now, see, this AFSPA was passed specifically for Nagaland, and we have borne the brunt, the worst of the AFSPA. The Nagas of Nagaland have borne it. Villages were burnt multiple times. There were gang rapes, mass rapes. Forget about extrajudicial killings. There were even genocidal attempts, mass murder. All that we have borne, nobody is aware of that now. And we kept, the educated Nagas never had a sort of concerted effort asking for the repeal of the AFSPA. Now, with the coming of statehood, this Armed Forces Special Powers Act was limited to within 20 kilometers of the international border with Myanmar. And it was only in 1990, I think I've forgotten the date, okay, when Dr. L.V. Reddy the former DC of Kohima, that was 1995, when he was killed. Then the center imposed it throughout the state of Nagaland. Now, seeing the Naga mentality, how we protest, the way we go about things, we have many sympathizers. I recently attended a conference organized by the Northeast Human Rights Law Network. And there, the people from the other 7 Northeast states, they were also sympathetic. And then there's so many mainland Indians who are sympathetic to our cause. But what are we, the victims, doing about it? Are we doing something positive, something through which we can achieve the goal of getting the AFSPA repealed? We have to examine that. What are our motives? Are we concerned about justice for the people who have died? Or are we using their deaths as a vehicle to achieve some other ends? Our protests are driven by emotion. And emotions, they don't last long. When we protest on the basis of reason, then we can have a long-lasting protest which can reach a wider audience. Now, going back to the third point. The third point was a law, when it becomes useless, it goes out of, it may be there, but people no longer use it, or it may be repealed. Now, we have to understand that this law was not an accident. It was passed to give the armed forces these extra powers. In the early days, they used it in all its brutality. Now, I want to make this very clear, okay? There is a concept called malice aforethought, meaning when you do something, you do it with bad intentions, okay, beforehand, okay? Before you do something, premeditated murder, say, that is with malice aforethought. Now, this Armed Forces Special Powers Act, in the past, it was used with malice aforethought. They knew that whatever they do, they will be protected by the AFSPA. The second aspect is when you use it to cover up your evil deeds. Now, say you react, and you do something, you commit some atrocity, but then you use that act, AFSPA, to protect, to hide your atrocity. So we have to look at the army's actions on the basis of these two factors. I am not saying that if there is no malice aforethought, it can be condoned, it can be accepted. No. It is highly condemnable, but it is understandable. Okay? No? You scare someone and then he turns around, he punches you, then you can understand, that he reacted, no? But when you're just walking and then someone punches you just like that, then that's different. So now again, let us examine why this act has remained so far, in spite of all the protests, in spite of all the atrocities committed under it. There is something called policy thinking, okay? Governments, over the course of time, they develop certain policies. Some are short-term policies, some are long-term policies. Some policies become ingrained, okay? No matter who's in power, which party is in power, it becomes ingrained. The perfect example of this ingrained policy is the US and Pakistan. during the Cold War in the early 50s, 60s, up to the 80s. The US was always scared of India's closeness with the USSR, the communist countries. So they saw Pakistan as their ally here in the subcontinent. And over the course of the years, their alliance has remained firm. Why? As a bulwark to India. The US is not threatened by India, but it is threatened by the USSR. And as long as they see India as an ally of the USSR or even the present day Russia, they see Pakistan as their ally against. So this thinking has led to the recent withdrawal from Afghanistan, the US. The US is perfectly aware that this Taliban, they never fought against the USSR, the Russians. They never fought. Taliban never fought even one battle against Russian troops. It was the Mujahideen. But when the Mujahideen started committing atrocities after the USSR withdrew, then the Taliban rose up, and then the Taliban, they sheltered the ISIS, Osama bin Laden. So the US is perfectly aware that Pakistan is the source of all this terrorism, global terrorism. But it still cannot get over its ingrained thinking policy that they need Pakistan as a bulwark against Russia. So this is exactly what is happening with the AFSPA. There's an ingrained thinking among certain sections of the Indian army, whether it be in the Indian army, Indian bureaucracy, or Indian politicians. They have that ingrained thinking that this AFSPA is necessary to combat insurgency.
In Nagaland.
Yeah, whether in Nagaland, Northeast, and Kashmir. They see this as separatist thing. That we have separatist aspirations, that's why they need this.
They think.
That is that ingrained thinking, policy, ingrained policy. So that is even more difficult. So you can shout how much you want. I am totally against AFSPA. Who are these people speaking out against AFSPA? I knew about it a long time back. I read one book when I was, I think, 15 years, Israel in India. It's written by one Bengali gentleman, I've forgotten the name. But when I came across that AFSPA in that book, I was surprised. Such a law exists in India. But I live in Nagaland. I live under the shadow of the AFSPA.
Sure. Can you please enlighten our viewers the extra power of the AFSPA?
No, AFSPA, basically it says that an NCO, non-commissioned officer, that means, even one stripe, that's also in an NCO, one stripe and above, they can search without warrant any house, and then in the event that they shoot anyone during the course of all that, then they cannot be prosecuted.
So, what exactly draconian law means?
Draconian means very draconian, repressive, So there are many synonyms for it. Repressive law, inhuman law, all that you can use whatever synonym you want to use. Okay, but it goes against the basic tenets of human dignity, human rights.
Okay, to our viewers who are outside, from outside Nagaland, we would like to remind you one thing. Gambura, it means the headman of the village, chieftain, one can say that. So our GB Kahuto Chishi Sumi, he is the spokesperson of Nagaland Gambura Federation. It's one among the apex body of the headmen in Nagaland state. Yes, and yes sir, can we continue? Okay, so you have said that sometimes law get useless.
Yes, this is what I want to elaborate. So we have to remove that ingrained policy. The ingrained policy thinking that AFSPA is necessary. The only way we can do that is by getting those who commit atrocities punished. It must be shown to the people who think that AFSPA is necessary that those who commit atrocities under the AFSPA cannot get away. Now, although the Supreme Court has said that AFSPA is constitutional, it has also ruled in 2016 that AFSPA does not give the army impunity. Okay, impunity means the will to do anything they desire. Okay, so they have removed partial protection of AFSPA from the army. The Supreme Court has done that. Then in 2018, when the army appealed to the Supreme Court against FIRs filed against them, the Supreme Court said, no, they can be filed against you since you have committed these things. But the rider, what is still uncertain is those FIRs were filed on the basis of judicial inquiries, okay, not police investigation. So now what the government of Nagaland should be doing right now is to be instituting a judicial court of inquiry. And now you can institute judicial courts of inquiry with retired judges heading it. But the higher the status of the judge, the more serious are your intentions. Now let me give you an example. During Dr. S. Jamra's time, there were 3 incidents involving army atrocities in Nagaland. 1994, Mugukchung. 1995, Akulto, small incident but still there. And 1995, Kohima. Now Dr. S. Jamar, he set up a judicial inquiry headed by a retired court of the High Court, retired justice of the Guwahati High Court. And in the Mugukchung and Kohima incidents, although the armed personnel involved were not sentenced to given any sentence, but the army paid compensation. See, that was a big step forward. The first time in the history of AFSPA that the army paying compensation is an admission of guilt. And in the Akulto case, 8 of them were sentenced to imprisonment also. So there was progress. Then in 2015, the Wuzu case, it was under our present Chief Minister Rio. He downgraded the seriousness of the inquiry from a High Court judge. He downgraded it to a retired district and session judge. And now he has downgraded it to a police investigation. You may call it a fancy SIT, special investigating. He's got no power to summon army personnel. So now whose fault is it? Let us leave the repeal of AFSA aside for the time being, okay? Let us talk about justice. No? And how do we get this repeal? So I've given you the 3 ways. It is constitutional, so we cannot go to a constitutional way, legal way. The our protests are never sustained, okay, never long term. So, okay, it's good, you protest, very good. But how long will we be able to sustain it? Now the third is to prove that this is unnecessary. This law cannot protect you, to give the signal to whoever, whether it's the army or the bureaucracy or the politicians that are AFSPA cannot protect you. But now we're not doing that. We are giving a way out for those who have committed the atrocity to walk away. So that is one aspect. Now, what has happened has happened. Now we need as much publicity as possible. Publicity. Why did the government ban the press? And why did the Cognac Union, after the government banned the Cognac Union, why did they ban the press? They're talking about sheltering the victims from unnecessary. How many journalists wanted to go there? Okay, stopping the Congress MLAs and the Nagaland Congress, that was not good. Congress MLAs from Assam. But okay, we can say, okay, they don't want to politicize the case. But why the media? Why? No, there's a cover-up going on. I'm accusing the government of Nagaland of going for cover-up. And my theory is, this is not the GB Federation's thing, okay? This is my theory. My theory is the government of Nagaland is playing both ends against the middle. Now, one side are the victims and the other side is the government of India. The government of Nagaland is in the middle. It is pretending by setting up this SIT, by announcing 5 lakh rupees, it is pretending to care for the victims. At the same time, it is trying not to offend the center. Because as always, Nagaland government has no money. They are scared that the center may withdraw money. That is my theory. This is my personal theory. But coming back again to the recent thing, resolutions passed by the Konyak Union and reinforced by the Eastern Naga people, ENPO, I think, Eastern Naga People's Organization. I'm not sure, okay, I didn't check it properly, but the resolutions were the same, that they will ask all army camps to be moved, then no, they will not allow patrolling of army personnel, no recruitment into the army. No, I think these were points. Any other points can you think of? No, okay. Now, let us examine these points, okay? When this incident happened on the 4th, okay, that night, usually I sleep very late, and I say, but that night too, I don't know why I slept early. Morning I saw, and it was posted last night, about what had happened at Oting. So 5th of December, I wrote a post. Because there's one thing, if there's one thing I believe I know quite well, it is human nature and human emotions, no? So, and I know how easily people are manipulated. So I didn't want the Konyak people to be manipulated. I wrote saying that it is not the business of the public or the social organizations to fight with the army. These people have guns, yeah? They're trained to use guns. No, we should not, it is not our business to fight with them, yeah? So I wanted to stop, to prevent any public or organization coming into confrontation with the army. Because I know Naga mentality very well. Now we think that we are the bravest people in the world, that we won't die. So I wrote that, and then I wrote what we should be doing. I wrote about an inquiry commission headed by a retired Supreme Court Justice. I wrote about ex gratia payment, because justice, yes, social justice is economic justice, okay? Social justice is when the guilty is sent to jail. Economic justice is not always there, but it is about what is being done for the victims. It is no shame to accept money, okay? That is not blood money. It is what they are entitled to. It is their right. They have lost earning members of the family. It is for the government to compensate them. It is not blood money. Now the problem is people are thinking that this blood money, this economic justice, will overshadow the social justice part. No. I wanted both to work in tandem together, okay? The government institutes a judicial inquiry, looks into the actions of the army. And now it has come to light that these are not Nagaland-based army units. They are based in Assam. They are paratroopers, special forces. They are not paramilitary. Okay? Now understand the difference between military and paramilitary. A paramilitary is under the command of the civilian authorities. See, Assam Rifles, they may have army commanders, but they are under the Home Ministry. They are not under the Defense Ministry. So why all this hala gula about Assam Rifles? What exactly did Assam Rifles do? What happened on the 5th evening that the mob ransacked the Konak Union office and went to attack the Assam Rifle camp? How did the Konak Union anger the public? They should have been well aware. If they are public leaders, they should have been aware of the mood of the people. They should have addressed that. Now something went wrong. And then the mob, as a mob, they went and attacked the thing, Assam Rifle camp. And what do you expect the Assam Rifle to do? When they have smashed down your gates, when they have started burning your buildings, are they also human beings? They might have been scared. No, this is what I mean. So, there's been failure on two fronts. Okay, leaving aside what the army did, how this army unit from Assam crossed into Nagaland, we have to ask that also. They're claiming that they got information, that's why they went there. Okay, now, we should be inquiring, who gave you what information? Why aren't we talking about that? You think army units just move across straight lines, time pass? Yeah, let's go, we'll set up an ambush there. And we'll kill anyone who comes. They got some information. Somebody, among Nagas, somebody is selling out each other, okay? And I have a specific example. Here in Dimapur, the transport industry, I know of a person who has been using the army, Assam Rifles, to threaten people. See, we never look at who is instigating the army. No? It is not as if Mr. Amit Shah said, hey, you go to Nagaland and you shoot those people. Some Naga told these people something, or some Assamese people. It could be Assamese also, because coal mining is a very profitable business, okay? It could be some coal interests who wanted to create panic among the Konjac coal miners. So this should be looked into. Then we can get the real culprits. The real culprits are the guys who gave the information to the army, okay? Then these army guys also culprits. Now Assam Rifles, they are the victim. They have become the victim suddenly. Because they acted in self-defense, one person was shot unnecessarily. Because some of our so-called public leaders didn't know how to handle their own public. Our government is sitting back, twiddling its thumbs, seeing that, trying to please people on one hand, trying to please center on the other hand, not taking even one concrete step to give justice. The money also, they have promised 5 lakhs. So 14 of them, that comes up to 60 lakhs. Center has promised 11 lakhs. So 14 of them, that comes up to nearly 1.5 crores. So now that 18 lakhs they gave, no, it should have been accepted. But with the question of who gave this, is it the money which the center, I don't think the center will give in installments. See, things like that, no? And we are talking about AFSPA. The families of these people who are slain there become victims again. Now, we never think issues through, okay? Always emotion. And it's just 1 day or 2 days. What sort of people are we here? Never think of the people who suffer. Never think of the victims. People are suffering every day in Nagaland. We never think of that. So, we should not let this tragedy become a political tool for somebody. Okay? We should be concentrating on the victims. And now coming to the Konyak Union resolution, Eastern Naga resolution, why do they never speak up against government corruption? Eastern Nagaland, they're always playing the victim card. I think those union presidents and general secretaries, they're richer than me. They're not victims. Jobs also, they're deprived of jobs. And now they have passed this resolution. You see occasionally in the news that Assam Rifle is, I think, clearing a road, repairing a road. We see occasionally Assam Rifle is conducting a medical camp. We see occasionally that Assam Rifle is running a recruitment center. So now, in the name of bringing justice to these people, to the slain people, we are depriving them of the little development they get from the army. We are depriving them of the little job opportunity they get from the army. Is that fair? And now they're saying, stop the movement of security personnel. Now, that is their lookout. But my advice to all the people of Eastern Nagaland who are living there, okay, not here in the towns, if you see army convoys moving, you report it to the nearest Konyak Union office or nearest Eastern Naga office, and you tell them to come and stop them. Okay, because you're going to die. India is a sovereign country. Its defense personnel will move according to the orders given from the above. It is not in the hands of the unit commander, no, whether to move or not. If someone from the center says, hey, you go to that place, they're going to go. And if anyone stops them, they're going to fire. See, issuing diktats like that, no, without seeing who's going to suffer. This is the problem with Nagaland, okay? We have people who call themselves leaders, who have no idea of what the people are going through, who have no sympathy, no empathy for their own fellow tribes people, for their own villages. So these are issues which every educated Naga, especially the youth, must understand. Why are we being allowed to be led by our noses, by people with their own crooked agendas? Now, all the talk of solution, now suddenly it's AFSPA. Why don't we fight for a solution where there's no AFSPA then? No? Yeah, pressure the IM and the 7 NLPGs to include the repeal of AFSPA in the solution. Finish. We don't have to protest. We don't have to say, no, we will not let army move around.
Okay, sir, my final question with you. So what is the viewpoint of Nagaland Gambura Federation at the present protests that are going or that are happening or organized by various civil societies? So what is your viewpoint? What will be the outcome of these protests, according to you?
That too, the Nagaland GB Federation cannot predict what the outcome will be. But
Your one viewpoint.
No, it is the opinion of, opinion of the GB Federation that every person has the right to express himself in any way he or she desires, and provided it is non-violent. That is the view of the Nagaland GB Federation. You are free to protest.
Okay, so is Nagaland GB Federation in support of these protests that are happening or that are going on?
No. It is not a question of supporting. Okay. We support your right to protest. But we choose to protest in our own way. Now, we will not allow our villagers to be misled. Okay? We want all Naga people to think of what is best for the common person. And our union wants justice for these slain youngsters.